Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome back to channel Natasha Putri. In this video, I will explain how to statically configure the DHCP server. DHCP-Static is the party that given the IP address dynamically, then the IP is changed to static, so that the IP given by the DHCP server does not change when the borrowing time is over and will still use the specific IP address. The following is the topology used in the static DHCP server material. For the router to act as a DHCP server with an IP address 26.26.26.1/24 and the laptop to act as a client with manually configuration IP, namely 26.26.26.26/24. Just go to the configuration stage. First, open the Winbox application, then click MAC address to log in the router if you have clicked Connect. Before entering the DHCP static configuration, we must first configure the DHCP server dynamically. Here are the steps to dynamically configure the DHCP server. First, check the interface in use with the command interface print. It appears that Ether2 is directly connected to the client because rsync means running. So Ether2 will later act as the DHCP server. Next, add the IP address for the Ether2 interface using the command IP address add address. In here, I use address is 26.26.26.1/24 use interface Ether2. Next, check the IP address that has been added using command IP address print. Here it can be seen that we have success in making an IP address for Ether2 interface, namely address
26.26.26.1/24.
Then do configure DHCP setup with the command IP DHCP server setup. For DHCP server interface is used as DHCP server, namely Ether2. For DHCP address space is IP network that is given by default, namely 26.26.26.0/24. Next.
For gateway, in here I use according default, namely 26.26.26.1. This gateway will given to client.
For the address to give out is range of IP address given to clients. In here, I use a rank IP, namely 26.26.26.2 until 26.26.26.254. Next.
In here, I use DNS server from Google. namely,
egg.egg.egg.egg. Next.
in here I given 10 minutes for borrowing IP to client.
Next. Check the DHCP server that was created with the command IP DHCP server print. We can see that we have successfully configured DHCP with name DHCP1 and using interface pattern 2, and release time is 10 minutes. Next, before testing, make sure the Ethernet desktop client is in a state of obtain. To make sure, we click Open Network, change updater option, and right-click to port interface in use. Choose Properties, then choose Internet Protocol version 4, choose Properties. In here, make sure choose obtain an IP address automatically and obtain DNS server address automatically. Next, click OK, pause. Then we open detail of the port interface used for check the IP obtained by the client by right-click, choose status, and choose details. In here, it can be seen that the IP address obtained is 26.26.26.254 and subnet mask is /24. For default gateway is 26.26.26.1 and DNS server namely 8.8.8.8. Uh, Next, click close. We can also see which clients are connected to the DHCP server by using command IP DHCP server release print. In here, you can see that the IP address is still dynamic. Next, we change the IP to static by using the command IP DHCP server releases make static number 0. If we check again with the command IP DHCP server releases print, it can be seen that the IP has changed to static because there is no desync, which means dynamic. Next, manually setting IP address using the command IP DHCP server releases edit follower name. In here, I change address, type address, then press enter. Type number in use address is 0. In here, change the IP to or leaking. Here, I change it to 26.26.26.26. To save the configuration result, press Ctrl plus O. Next, check configuration result using the command IP DHCP server releases print. In here, You can see that the IP address has changed to 26.26.26.26. We also check the IP on the client computer,
by
open network connection, perform enable disable port, right click port Ethernet in use, click status, click details. In here, you can see that the IP address is accordant with the configuration carried out.
IP address is 26.26.26.26 using slice 24.
We can close. And now of my explanation regarding the HTTP server statically, more or less sorry. See you in next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Chase.